Here is Fred. Fred is running on his way to a meeting. But look, there's a spill on the floor. He says to himself, well, that is not my job to clean up, and continues running to his important meeting. Fred has his own job to take care of. Uh-oh! Fred then slips and falls. An ambulance is called. Fred is sent to the hospital, and after which, Fred has a large medical bill. Whose fault is it for Fred's injury? Another way of asking this question is, what breakdown caused this? Is it Fred for not cleaning up the spill? Is it the sign's fault for not being more drastic? Is it the spill's fault for existing and being a part of the environment? What about Larry, whose job it was to clean up the spill? Was it the CEO's fault, since it is their facility and their rules? Activity theory can help with breakdowns like this. It was developed in the early 20th century in the Soviet Union, most notably by Vygotsky. It is more of a meta-theory or framework than a predictive theory. This means that activity theory is more useful for past events and breakdowns such as Fred's injury, but is not very useful for predicting future events or breakdowns that have not been experienced yet. Activity theory says that anything we do depends on a series of actors. The people, ideas, tools, social concepts, and rules that make activity possible. This activity system diagram, popularized by Engelstrom and Webb, provides us with the framework. We start with the subject. The subject is the individual or subgroup chosen as the point of view in the analysis. In our case, that is Fred. Next, the object is the raw material or problem space at which the activity is directed and which is molded or transformed into outcomes. Fred's objective is to go to the conference room. The tools and artifacts, which can be physical or psychological, is a walkway in our case. There are rules such as explicit no running rules or implicit norms that constrain action or interaction. As for the people sharing the use of the tools and artifacts, the community includes Fred and Larry. For division of effort, the division of tasks between the members of the community is Fred and Larry again. The outcome of this activity system is Fred being injured. We can note this breakdown where Fred ran instead of walking with the double lines. And with this diagram, we now have the context for why this outcome occurred. If we took away some of the information, it could lead to incorrect conclusions for not solving the root of the problem, so that is why we need all the information of this activity diagram. Now let's say Fred stopped and cleaned up the spill instead of Larry. The subject of the activity system is now Larry. Since that was his task and he failed to perform it, there's a breakdown in division of effort. And again, we have the context to why this outcome occurred. I provided one example from a physical environment, but what about a human using a computer? Well, activity theory can be useful in many situations and provide the context within the human-computer interface. So let's see a similar situation, but within HCI. In this situation, Fred, the quality engineer, is updating work instructions using the MES. There are MES rules, company rules, and customer rules, to name a few. Within the community is Fred, his peers, and management. The division of effort for updating work instructions are the product engineer Suzanne, process engineer Larry, and quality engineer Fred. Now, if we apply this information to the activity system, it'll look like this. Now let's say that process engineer Larry did not update the work instructions. There's a breakdown in the division of effort because the process engineer did not do their work. A bit of a different situation, let's say the quality engineer Fred is trying to perform a function within the MES, but is struggling to do so. The activity system reflects this and shows us this is because the MES was updated. This is a breakdown between the subject and the tools and artifacts. Now let's say that the software can recognize when the user is struggling and can intervene. Clippy is an example of an intervention from way back when because Clippy provided suggestions and help. This help is denoted by a wavy line. An intervention like Clippy would then help Fred to complete his actions so that the work instructions can be updated. Now Clippy is great for new users, but for expert users he was a constant frustration, which is partly why he ended up going away. The system should be adaptable to both novice and expert users, and activity theory can help with that. So why are we using activity theory with breakdowns and interventions? To provide the context on the different actors within an activity system. This big concept of activity theory providing context is so important, I'm going to make use of word art for emphasis. So, this was a simple overview of activity theory. Thanks for watching.